Hey you guys, it's your favorite go against the grain, independent and critical thinking host, Davion, and welcome to another riveting episode of Consciouztv. We're here podcast style. I was going to get on camera, but I got way too many notes I need to stick to perfectly to have this conversation, so here we are. So I need you to secure your wigs and double knot your do-rags, fellas, because y'all gonna want to stick around for this one. And before we get started, go ahead and subscribe, share, rate, and don't forget to comment and hit that notification bell. And feel free to donate to the show at either Cash App, which is $Consciouztv, or paypal.me/Consciouztv, as well as email me any information and personal questions at consciouztv@gmail.com. All information will be at the bottom of the screen as well as the description box below. I want to also give a shout out before we jump into this discussion to two of my supporters, Leslie and Brandon, for donating to the show. I woke up Wednesday and Friday to money in the piggy bank and had to do a praise break. I don't even go to church, but I bodied them church shoes that day. You guys know your donations mean a lot to me, and I thank you deeply for your affections and contributions as a result of appreciating my creativity and presence, and I pray I can continue to be someone you value. God bless you both, and may all of the answers to your prayers be manifested and edify your lives. So I say Shona, which means God bless you in Zimbabwe. So let's dive right in. New developments are that Empire actor and black LGBT activist Jussie Smollett was arrested and charged with felony disorderly conduct for allegedly filing a false police report, which such a charge faces up to 3 years in prison. Smollett's bond was set at $100,000 at a court hearing Thursday afternoon, and more leaks regarding the case revealed that not only was surveillance footage of the two Nigerians purchasing a rope from a local department store discovered, but the check the Nigerians alleged Jussie Smollett paying them to help stage the crime was also retrieved, along with added testimony from the two men who stated that they rehearsed the attack the same day around the block from Jussie's residence. And to add insult to injury, Jussie Smollett's phone records and text messages along with the Nigerian's phone records were pulled and revealed that one of the brothers was a drug supplier for Jussie Smollett, who brought the drug Molly occasionally from the Nigerian brother. Superintendent Eddie Johnson and Commander of Area Central Detectives Edward Wadnicki briefed reporters on the investigation prior to Smollett's appearance and spoke of their current findings, which I stated above, and that the case would be tried by a grand jury, and that Jussie's alleged motive was that he was dissatisfied with his Empire salary. Jussie has since returned to his work on Empire, who have dramatically reduced his scenes in previously recorded episodes and who have already written him out of the final episode for the season. Nonetheless, the mood on set is cumbersome, and sources say that Jussie made a heartfelt apology to his castmates for the media storm he's in the middle of that obviously have impacted Fox, Empire, himself, actual victims, and certainly his castmates, who at this point don't know how to defend Jussie or what to defend exactly. Jussie also maintained his innocence and expressed his disappointment in anyone knowing him and yet doubting his innocence. Now, the two Africans have not been charged as of yet, but I think personally they should be, because they were just as complicit in the lies as Jussie was. It's called co-conspirator, and if they are not charged but Jussie is, this lets me know this is about making an example out of Jussie rather than the actual application of the law. And I would not be surprised if the law once again acted impartial and selective in the case, because it reinforces what we've all seen play out over the past decade, which is the racial, discriminative, and biased weaponizing of the law by whomever has the power to enforce it on minorities. Nonetheless, if Jussie is charged, so should the brothers be also. Period. Now, before we get fully into the meat and potatoes of this discussion, let's speak to some of the questions the public is pondering over right now. For one, Jussie doing Molly. Molly or no Molly, I do not care about his drug of choice in his recreational time, cause celebrities do Molly like niggas do weed these days, and Jussie's drinking, smoking, or popping has no direct connection to the stage hate crime at hand. To validate my own lack of interest in exploring Jussie's involvement with Molly further is also met by the fact that before this case, Jussie's reputation was clean as a whistle in the public eye. Here it is, a working man has showed up faithfully and consistently to fulfill his duty duties on Empire for 5 years straight, managed to tour and establish himself as a musician, as well as play a noticeable role in activism in his spare time. And he did all this without having to look like Whitney Houston in the last decade of her life. So if Jussie is popping pills, he's doing these things responsibly and in a way that has not interfered with his career. For 2, the press conference held by Chief of Police had one problematic element to me, and that was that they spoke of a possible motive of Jussie's, but didn't make it clear that this was pure speculation and not a confession directly from Smollett himself, which left the audience confused when reports came out that Jussie was still professing his innocence in wake of the new evidence and arrests. So for me, that means that Chicago police have produced a motive based upon the 2 Nigerians' testimony and other circumstantial evidence. And I find this to be a issue when police do this because it blinds fact with fiction, when all we need is the facts. We gonna speculate enough on our own without y'all help. Let it go to trial and let the suspect speak their motive, unless the suspect gave a confession, which Jussie did not in this case. While we on Chicago police, y'all niggas not off the hook either, cause not only do we have a overall issue and crack in the foundation when it comes to the overall judicial system and how it treats minorities, but certainly there's a big titty issue with Chicago police, specifically who have failed in previous cases to divulge as much information to the public and media outlets, which doesn't help with their reputation, which came under fire dramatically when another case involving a African-American 17-year-old male by the name of Laquan McDonald, who was fatally shot from behind as he was seen on footage walking away from Officer Jason Van Dyke, who was charged with second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. However, Jason Van Dyke wasn't charged until a year and 1 month after the crime, when Cook County decided to finally release dash cam footage of the shooting. And despite this withholding of evidence that could have provided an indictment of the officer sooner, along with inconsistencies in the narratives provided by 3 other officers involved in this case who were accused of conspiring against evidence to falsely paint Jussie Van Dyke as innocent, were tried in court but acquitted of all charges by Judge Domikia Stevenson, who claimed that prosecutors had failed in proving beyond a shadow of a doubt their accusations against existing officers being involved in a conspiracy to cover up the crime. And people, this was far from the first case that have discouraged minorities' confidence in Chicago's police, who have had a very strained relationship with minorities of Chicago for decades now. And that's a whole other video for a whole nother day. 4. A lot of people are asking, why would Jussie use 2 black men rather than 2 white men if he was going to stage a hate crime? Well, duh. If your motive was to incriminate racist, homophobic, idiotic MAGA supporters because you truly feel some way about the white presence in America, you're not going to use white people because, duh, you don't trust them. The angel ain't going to use demons to help pin a case against demons. Instead, the angel going to get with other angels to make the demons look bad. And mind you guys, why would white people help a black person frame white people? That wouldn't be something that a person, a part of the race that you're trying to frame, would be interested in you doing against their race. I mean, could you imagine a racist person coming up to you as a black person and saying, hey, I'll pay you $3,500 if you help me make niggers look bad? Come on, you guys. Like, I can't believe these are the $1 million questions. Like, these are the questions that don't even make me sweat. Like, these should be the gap fillers that are still easy, because this isn't even the critical thinking part. Like, maybe because I'm just a natural debater and I am like very analytical and I deal with context, and this is just kind of my lane. Very deep thinker. Certain things that just feel easy to me might just be a challenge to like ordinary people, but that's why he used his own people rather than white people. Duh. Now, I say all that to say, for those who are wondering why a lot of people are still not comfortable with the evidence and allegations against Jussie so far and have chosen to continue to support the actor and or at least presume him innocent until proven guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, is because of all these variables above. Now, if you have already chosen to view Jussie Smollett as guilty and controlled alt deleted him in any kind of way, that's your personal business. However, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you who were quick to accuse Jussie of fishing for dick earlier on in this case and immediately rendering him as guilty are the same people who still two-stepping in the name of love and absolving R. Kelly of any persecution despite actual video footage of him pissing on a 14-year-old girl, a marriage certificate to another 14-year-old girl being exposed, and new charges brought up against him regarding another sex tape revealing the singer in a lewd sexual act with another 14-year-old girl. Child, the hypocrisy of our damn democracy. Anyways, now let's get into the $1 million question of why Jussie. Why the fuck did you do this? Well, there's been a lot of theories swimming around this Section 8 community pool, but the two mainstream ones is a publicity stunt motivated by further fame and a larger salary on Empire, and the other mainstream theory that a lot of news outlets have ran with is this is a publicity stunt motivated by a political agenda to cast a negative light on Republicans, aka the right wing, aka MAGA supporters. That this was a desperate attempt by Jussie Smollett to make MAGA supporters look like the racist, xenophobic, homophobic, narrow-minded, hateful people they actually are, but deny themselves of being. And for me, guys, this is the narrative that resonates with me the most, and I'm gonna tell you why. But before I do, I'm gonna let you know at some point in this dialogue, and you'll know when we're at that point, that I will need for you guys to actually disconnect from Jussie Smollett himself in this conversation, because we're going to go beyond Jussie at that point. We're going to go to a whole other floor of the mansion, okay? We will be going from the kitchen downstairs to the deluxe apartment on the second floor of R. Kelly's pedophile headquarters, okay? Because where I'm going to go is into a larger conversation regarding us as a minority, regarding us as a black people in this white country. And we're going to use the Jussie Smollett in this theory that actually makes sense to me as a motive by Jussie to get to that larger conversation. So go ahead and book your flights, because we're going to talk about Jussie on the runway of the airport. But the plane going to take off into the sky at some point, and we gonna climb altitude, okay? And we gonna forget about the airport and the runway, cause we'll be in a whole different domain, even though it's the same atmosphere. All right. So let's start by establishing this: Jussie is guilty. Period. For me at this point in the case, along with reasonable doubt, practically establishes Jussie as guilty. This was staged. It was a hoax. Jussie was complicit in the hate crime he reported to Chicago police. I believe that. I accept that. I receive that. Now for me, Jussie staging this whole thing isn't what I'm upset about, to be honest. To be brutally fucking honest at that. Some of y'all like, what? You not outraged? He lied, girl. He told a big old fib, girl. His toenails were pink, now they blue, girl. How you not outraged, girl? Well, cause I'm not, girl. See, whether you're outraged or not will be based upon your particular belief and perception in this manner. So I'm going to unpack for you my particular lens and context for why I'm more upset that he's going to lose his credibility more than I am about him lying about the hate crime. So remember earlier on when I told you there were two theories circulating as to Jussie Smollett's motive, and I told you that one in particular resonated with me, and that's the political motive. I believe this particular theory and motive is more believable and actually makes sense considering the context of the publicity stunt, which took the form of a hate crime involving two distinct elements, race and sexuality. Hint, hint, MAGA supporters, MAGA country faggot, boom. This whole publicity stunt being a hate crime in and of itself tells me what the motive was easily. It was political. It was a desperate attempt by a minority person who, based upon his own activism and tweets against the current administration, reflected his own tiredness against racism and homophobia, decided that he would do something to further expose and incriminate the toxic people of this country who are mostly perceived to be a part of those who support Donald Trump and all of his antics. And while Jussie's method was unconventional and deceptive as a queer nigga in this country myself, I would be lying if I said I didn't understand the feelings, the hurt, and the need for justice of black people and queer people that would motivate a person to act on such a stunt. Oh, I understand it all too well. I also recall the Ferguson case. Y'all remember Michael Brown? And when officers were acquitted, black people burnt their portion of Ferguson the fuck down in frustration. And do you know what the mood of other black people was about those black people burning Ferguson down? It wasn't that it was said to be a wrong reaction. Instead, we encouraged the citizens of Ferguson to have directed their rage toward the white side of Ferguson and burn down their shit. And every time there's been a Laquan McDonald's, a Sandra Bland, a Trayvon Martin, or a Michael Brown in the news, month after month, year after year, black people express feelings of vengeance, not reason or political correctness, but feelings of vengeance. And we'd all be lying as black people if we said in the back of our minds, we just like to fuck the system completely up from the inside and out and do away with it forevermore. We don't try to admit that. And why is that? For one, we want to make white people feel real safe. So even when we have more than enough reason, motive, and antagonism to finally react and respond viscerally to our own grief and anger, we still police our own feelings so that we don't offend those good white people who don't share the feelings and divisive ideologies of their white tribe members. For two, we don't admit to these Magneto and Malcolm X feelings because religion has made us passive, submissive, and a little too reasonable toward our enemies. You can put down your sword, but what if your enemy has one? See, just because Jussie Smollett is famous and paid doesn't mean he's any less aggravated by the state of the world in this country. It doesn't mean that as a black man and a queer man at that, which makes him a double minority, that his heart too doesn't break at innocent black and queer lives slain in the streets, going without justice, having their cases go cold, without local or national attention, and is also very much afraid himself that he too and those he loves might genuinely intersect by chance encounter with the sick, vile, murderous people who execute hate crimes in real life. And out of fear and the timing of where we are in re-elections, he decided he would help incriminate this current administration by any means necessary, even if it meant lying against and about this current administration. Now, I ain't saying lying is right, but hell, maybe I am saying lying is right when it comes to one standing up for what's right and fighting a war that's being fought against you unfairly, because unfairly and uneven fighting ground is a key here in putting violence, lying, scheming, and scamming into proper context. See, a lot of y'all judging Jussie for lying, even if it's for a good cause, which is to sway the public from voting Trump and his minions back into office by making them look like what they are, but never get sentenced and held accountable for the crimes they commit. Because Jussie crime is faking a attack, which has calls for a grand jury and a whole legal procedure. However, Donald Trump crimes include espionage, money laundering, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, real estate fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy against the United States, and treason. And is that fat fluffy bitch in the jailhouse? No, he's in the White House, chillaxing. Man, get the fuck out of my face, America, with this fake outrage shit. And if you boiling hot in this conversation at me, baby, I suggest you click the fuck off right now, because you're going to be a whole fireplace by the time this ends, because it ain't going to get no better. So I can understand Jussie looking out into the world with the discouraged spirit and attitude about the reality that minorities can no longer deny themselves of seeing, which is that racism and homophobia ain't gone nowhere. Despite the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriage, and despite having a black president, we're still here fighting the same fights our forefathers and their forefathers ancestors did, and nothing has changed other than the evolution of racism from plantations into courtrooms, from Supreme Court rulings to post-nightclub massacres. And the real truth is, there are plenty of brown people within our tribe who are tired and ready to pull a few pages out of Massa's book. Now, when I say massa, I'm talking about the reality of white power, which is not only national, it's global at this point, colonizing, controlling, and interfering with all corners and cultures of the world in business, politics, economy, and domination. So as a minority person, we've reasoned with this white power since being brought to this country against our free will. We've ran for our freedom, politically fought for our freedom, been willing to forgive white power of its horrific offense against our race. And when there was injustice, we fought peacefully rather than violently. Aside from that one time during the LA riots. But hey, that's understandable, right? Considering the overwhelming long-standing history that reflects minority people moving in silence and righteousness to achieve equality and justice rather than the white man's way. White power has pillaged, raped, stolen, sold, lied, manipulated, controlled, and murdered to get into the seats of power it occupies. And we're really mad at a black man for lying to a system of liars? For lying on a system of murderers and thieves? Are we really mad at Jussie Smollett for trying to look the reality of white power in the face and decide that peaceful protesting and making political statements in political settings was tired, delayed, and through? Cause we still going through the same shit every other black generation has. Dr. King boycotted the bus system of his day. We boycotted the bus system of our day called Uber. Dr. King orchestrated sit-ins, and this year we sat in our homes and chose not to give the Super Bowl our support. And for those of us who participated, we made a noticeable impact because viewership dropped by 5% in this year's Super Bowl. And do you know what's pitiful about all of this? Even in the 21st century, even in 2019, we still got the same issues with the same people who got the same power they came into this country with. Hell, Jussie Smollett lied on his damn self, and y'all outraged. But Caroline Dohame lied on Emmett Till, and it costed him his fucking life, and his family hurt you can't even imagine. And where this white skin cancer having ass bitch at? In the jailhouse? No, in her own house, sipping tea and giving her bio to reporters like she Dorothy Dandridge or some shit. Where's the outrage? This bitch white privilege not only affords her the luxury of knowing she can speak honestly about her crime, but that she can do so without fear of prosecution at that. Jussie Smollett ain't even proven guilty, nor has even admitted to being guilty, nor did his lie cost anybody in their family any damn thing. And y'all want this nigga to suffer the fullest extent of the law while y'all walking past this pale-headed bitch's retirement home without conviction or dis-ease? If y'all don't get the fuck out of my damn face with this shit, the fuck's out of my face. So you probably saying, Davion, okay bitch, where you going with this? Where you trying to take us? Well, first I want to take you to Caroline's front door so you can assist her in meeting God. Then I want us to sit here and think about this. Jussie's motive is pure speculation at this point, but a political motive certainly sounds and feels very true to my spirit. And even if Jussie did this for any other reason aside from being a pressed, emotional, and impulsive activist who resorted to desperate measures to help sway the collective attitude toward this current administration, it still doesn't matter, because we can still use what Jussie did as a way to discuss amongst ourselves as black people, as black queer people, what are we going to do about white power? One can say Jussie should not have lied. There was other ways he could have fought against racism and homophobia other than staging a hate crime to emphasize how minorities are victimized by this mentality that a lot of people still have toward black people and queer people. But if we're all saying that the system is corrupted, and we can all see case by case, year by year, that this system is disingenuous, racially biased, homophobic, xenophobic, and intolerant, and that if you're a minority in this country seeking justice, that you have a sketchy, debatable odds of being properly defended and protected, such as in the case of Ronisha McBride. A 19-year-old woman in Detroit who knocked on the door of a Dearborn Heights residence after crashing her car at 4 a.m. in the morning and was looking to have someone call the police to the scene, but was met at the door by Theodore Wafer, a white male who shot Miss McBride point blank range in the face before even asking her what it was she needed, resulting in her dying on the scene. Theodore justified shooting Miss McBride to death because he believed his home was being burglarized. Or how about in another Detroit incident involving a less fatal encounter by a 14-year-old black male named Brennan Walker, who missed his school bus and walked to a neighboring house to ask for directions so that he could just walk to school, but was met at the door by white retired firefighter Jeffrey Zingler, who shot at the teenager with a shotgun but missed, while his wife called 911 to report that her husband was shooting at a black male who was attempting to break into their home. The bitch straight up lied. Or how about the incident in Texas involving a white female walking into a church with torn clothing and bruises, claiming that she was kidnapped and raped by 3 black men, only to confess 2 weeks into the investigation that she made the entire thing up to cover up the fact that her and her fiance had gotten into a physical altercation and she needed a cover story so that her family wouldn't be upset with her soon-to-be groom. And the judge over the case absolved the teenager of having to do any time in prison at all, despite lying to detectives and wasting taxpayer dollars for an investigation that was almost as long as Jussie Smollett's. Child, baby, when I tell you I'm over white power, white presence, and I'd rather Jussie Smollett get an ass whipping by his own people than to have to intersect with a system we all can't stand at this point any longer, who is constantly fair and understanding to his white counterparts but not to his black counterparts. Send my nigga home for good, and because his crime ain't hurt no damn body but his own integrity, let him pay a fine to the city for the money spent to investigate, and let his people reprimand him. I don't want to see black persons reprimanded by this current system until it changes, unless it's R. Kelly. He's my only exception. Jussie inspired a line of thinking that we honestly may have to consider at this point when talking about the hate in our world, and the hate certainly that's in our country, which is, will this war have to be fought by employing weapons such as lying, slander, and even violence? Because our enemy has always used lying, slander, and violence to keep us in our place, dead, or put away. Are we going to continue to bring a knife to a gunfight? Because as one of my subbies said, Donald Trump can drag a newborn baby up and down Hollywood Avenue by its neck, and his supporters would rather blame the baby and maintain that Donald Trump is righteous and loving in all his ways. What if Harriet Tubman had continued to follow master's orders and play by the plantation's rules? It was, after all, illegal at the time for a slave to leave their plantation without master's orders. She also killed slaves who got scared during the journey in the Underground Railroad and wanted to turn back around. Was she wrong for killing those who was going to put everybody else's freedom at risk, including her own? Was she wrong for going about things in a manner in which she did by breaking the law at that time? Maybe the issue isn't in what Jussie did. Maybe the issue is we actually think we're free when we're actually slaves, not realizing that all that's happened is that master has decorated the plantation in a way that makes you feel like you're free when you're actually controlled and maintained within that cage. Could it actually be that Jussie is the actual woke one? Could it be that Jussie was actually on to something by using deception and lying to bring down a common enemy in this country, at least an enemy for those who don't benefit from racism and homophobia? A lot of you will say, well, there's a lot of other ways he could have gone about fighting the good fight. Yeah, what other ways? Because every time I ask someone what other way he could have gone that we haven't already been practicing going for the past 400 years plus, nobody can complete the sentence. And maybe nobody can complete the sentence because the Jussie Smolletts of the world have already created new answers, new strategies, and yes, they are against the grain, and yes, these strategies make one feel a little dirty because the strategies involve playing the game dirty, and this is a game. But would you rather get a little dirty, or would you keep preferring to see yourself and those who you love any day now end up buried 6 feet under it? Because protesting keeps equaling Black Lives Mattering to hardly anyone. Social media activism keeps equaling homophobia and xenophobia. Public speeches and rallies keep equaling injustices and systematic oppression of minority people. You see, the government shutdown wasn't about a wall. It was about the powers that be keeping you in your motherfucking place and showing you and your allies who big boss around these parts are, and humbling all you motherfuckers. The government chose to shut down for 3 weeks and damn near raised the suicide rate by 100% because it wanted to remind you to shut up, find your fucking place, and be still. For wickedness is now sitting in a very high place, and will keep you motherfuckers dependent and distracted so that we can maintain you and you can be controlled like sheep to a shepherd. My question is it wrong to lie to a liar? Is it wrong to murder a murderer? Harriet Tubman lied. Rosa Parks took a stand and broke the law of her day to persuade justice. How many of y'all gonna stay quiet and seated and honest to those who only manipulating you with lies and treachery? You know, when I think about minority people finally taking matters into their own hands, like I believe Jussie Smollett did against our bully, I think about all the recent articles I've read and ask myself, would it have been wrong if the victim became their own law after the law failed to provide them with justice time and time again? Such as in the case of 9-year-old Mackenzie Adams, a black female who hung herself in the bathroom of her Alabama home after experiencing consistent school bullying that was reported to the principals, bus drivers, and teachers without progress nor remedy. Now, what if Mackenzie, rather than taking her own life, would have taken the lives of her white bullies, just like the young men of Columbine High School did after the system failed her time and time again? Would she have been wrong? Because in every other part of the animal kingdom, it demonstrates to us that when a prey is backed into a corner, there's a fight or flight defense mechanism that activates itself. And for humans, that's in the form of either kill myself or kill your ass. And both outcomes are tragic, but one outcome is more just than the other one. And that is exactly the situation minority people in this country are in on a larger scale. We keep being bullied decade after decade, century after century, and we keep thinking we can reason with our bullies, that we can live alongside our bullies, that if we just stay to ourselves, we can avoid our bullies. But even when you stay in the projects and in the urban communities to yourself, your bullies are there patrolling your neighborhood all night and all day, waiting, lurking, surveying, and counting on anything that gives reason to arrest, assault, or all out blow your fucking head off, including also if the officer is just in the mood to kill a nigga today. And then the system is ran, controlled, and constructed by those who share the same hatred for you as the officers and racists in this country share towards you, which is why the judicial system disproportionately fails me and our people, black and queer people, time and time and time again. So what do you do is the question. How do you fight a war of disproportion by a power that has both the political and economical diplomatic leverage to wipe out any community it sees fit at any given time? You think your cardboard signs and yelling in front of the state house the white power cares about your black tears? They don't even care about the tears of poor white people, and that's still their own people. You got tears and they got nukes. You got your Afro wig and Black Panther gear on, but they got an actual army. We as minorities are not being honest about the reality of white power and white hatred in this country. And that's why we keep trying to remedy our relationship to this sociopathic, narcissistic form of power with conversation and peaceful protesting. Jussie Smollett took a route that modern activists don't, which is he tried to cheat his way over the wall to get inside the enemy's camp. He got caught. And if it wasn't for that small detail of the two suspects getting into a taxi, he almost would have gotten over that wall successfully. And who knows in what political ways he would have been able to use the clout, visibility, and recognition from that stage hate crime to support a just cause. And it was a just lie, but for a just reason. Because I don't think black and black queer people dying is a fucking joke. And I can't find it in myself to be angry or outraged by what this minority man did, because plenty of us are feeling tired and fed up enough with the lack of progress in the way we've been marching forward, and times keep slapping black people in the fucking face, from the progress of Obama to the insult of Donald Trump. When do the games just stop? When can minorities just finally rest, be safe, live, and thrive? Well, that's gonna be never. And only when toxic whiteness is confronted and exterminated. So let me make this clear. All white people ain't bad people. And this ain't about the white race. This is about the system that's been created by the narcissistic homicidal tribe members of Caucasians. And there are well aware and woke white people who utilize their privilege to disarm white power so that minorities have chances at standing and rising up. But as long as the system and soil itself belongs to white power, it don't make no sense for black people to invest in black owned much of anything, because we're building our houses on land whose terms and conditions are created by white power, who will interrupt black efforts if it needs to. And we know this to be facts, because look at what happened during the Reconstruction period, where niggas owned a lot of land, a lot of businesses, barbershops, car lots, salons, and churches. And what did the American government, the Ku Klux Klan, and other oppressive organizations do? They galvanized together and destroyed black efforts, bombed and burnt down black businesses, gentrified black neighborhoods and communities, and forced black people back into economic dependency upon the system. And black people gave up for a long time because slavery was too much, and the efforts made to restore blackness when slavery was over was too much. But we're finally waking up from our slumber once again now. But baby, we don't need to wake up just to go back to doing things the way we did them, because we will be met with the same disappointments of our ancestors again and again and again. It's time to think about how to weaponize our anger and how to weaponize our knowledge and awareness of the world around us to come under conviction and full acceptance that the America as we know it to be today has no moral conscience, so that we can truly come together and make some very hard and critical decisions about white power and its proximity to blackness. And I ain't talking about having these conversations on YouTube. I'm talking about taking it back to civil rights and meeting amongst ourselves in churches, warehouses, after dark, in caves, and having community meetings around a new way to disarm. Not work with, not reason with, not align with, but disarm white power. Because it's time for the disarming. Period. Now y'all can say, oh, you might be giving Jussie Smollett too much credit. He ain't that fucking smart. He ain't this, he ain't that. Says who? Because Jussie is a bigger name and living a bigger life than me. That allows him to see far more than me. And I'm here feeling this way, thinking this way. And I ain't no damn body. It don't take a smart person to feel this way and have done what he did for the reasons I mentioned here. All it takes is a person with a heart who is aware that we ain't winning, never have been, and that the only way at actually getting to the other side possibly is by pulling all of the tricks out of one's hat. Cause Rosa did it, Kunta Kinte did it, Harriet did it. And do we think we're more civilized and smart than Harriet? She achieved freedom and brought people with her, and the only difference between her and Jussie is she didn't get caught. And that wasn't because she was smarter, it was because she just didn't get caught. Jussie did, but that don't mean other people will. And all I'm saying, because I told y'all we was gonna climb altitude in this conversation, right? I told y'all the plane was gonna take off, right? I told y'all at some point it wasn't about Jussie no more, but about us, right? Because I believe his motives were about his people. And even if they weren't, What I'm talking about right here, right now, is a valid reality. All the cases I mentioned, all the white people getting away with murder, and all the minorities ending up murdered, and all the corruption, and all of the white faces calling the law on black people for simply being black, who not being arrested, charged, or fined for wasting authorities' time, is fucking real and constantly documented in social media. We got viral evidence now. So there's no excuse to be asleep or a sheep. We need to do a lot of things and do them differently. And I'm not going to speak on my personal vision in fullness, because this conversation in full ain't for everybody listening. It's for minorities. It's for brown people. And while I am for everybody, I love everybody, and I certainly love everybody who loves us. But it's a lot of them against a lot of us. And the issue is, it's a lot more of them than there are us. And narcissism ain't curable. Yet that's exactly the nature of white power in the world. Not white people in the world, but white power. It has consumed and corrupted, and it's time to have some in-house conversations about some deep shit and some effective measures. I'ma wrap this shit up here. I feel like I've already said enough, and like I said, y'all don't gotta agree. I said what I said. I feel what I feel. I ain't mad at Jussie. I'm just mad he got caught. So I don't care that he lied on racism, that he lied on homophobia, cause he lied to expose those that still go undenied by the parties who act in denial of the presence of racism and homophobia in this world. I ain't mad. Fuck y'all. I don't give a damn if the heat in this video is just too hot. I'm encouraging you to pack your shit and get the fuck up out my kitchen, cause I ain't got the time today. Cause this shit is real. So real that in the coming age of Aquarius, y'all gonna see minorities showing their ass against the powers that be. Oh, that time has come. The last being first in the kingdom of heaven. Oh yeah, this is exactly how they gonna become first. Cause they gonna stop playing and start showing their ass. They gonna stop asking for what's theirs. They gonna start taking that shit. And the rest of you can sit on the bus while the rest of us boycott and walk our asses to work to create change. But ain't nobody stunting your scary ass. So stay scary. Stay submissive. That's your business. But don't talk other minority people out of being bold and rebellious. Hotep niggas around here talking about a race war to come. Niggas, the war began when your ass was chained to the Amistad boat, bitch. The war began over 400 years ago. Rewind the tape, my nigga. This ain't something to come, this is something that is. And every day you bury an innocent black person, straight or gay, you laying a soldier to rest, my nigga. You niggas better wake the fuck up, cause y'all soft woke. But this victory gonna require a hard woke. Both eyes open woke. Ashy ankle bantu not woke, my nigga. Even with all I said today, I ain't even said half of what it is I could say, because this situation with Jussie has stimulated my awareness about the real issue at hand and the reality of America. Keep thinking you free in this nicely decorated plantation. You'll keep having funerals for your babies and their babies by being blind, all because fighting racism and oppression ain't good for your wedges and it's inconveniencing your waves. Well, if you're not going to participate in the victory, don't put your dick sucker on strategies that real niggas who willing to risk and sacrifice real things are willing to make. Because somebody got to do something. And got to do it differently. And got to do it differently if shit going to change for generations. If we ain't at war while we keep losing people. And while we the only ones losing people. We might not be at war with nobody, but it's evident somebody is at war with us. And we just ain't fighting back. You don't think racism and systematic oppression is that real? Oh, you sleep. You don't think the war is that alive and well today as it was when your great grandmammies was chained down to the bottom of the Amistad ship? Cause we still losing niggas. And they no longer on ships dying, they on shifts at McDonald's and Walmart, slaving away, caught up in bills, child support, with little to no resources to elevate their minds so that they can elevate their living, dying of high blood pressure, diabetes, Alzheimer's, police brutality, and gang violence. Oh, y'all don't like this kind of teaching. And the road to victory gonna require a little too much footwork and sweat for some of y'all edges and waves to hold up, right? You can't see your change cause Master transformed them motherfuckers into bars and placed them in the peripheral of your reality, so that you won't notice the cage he got you comfortably in until he reaches his hand in it and picks one of us niggas up and devours us time and time again. And for that one moment in time, you realize something ain't right about your reality. But because the cage you in is so pretty and nicely decorated, you fall back into unconsciousness and treat your missing brother and sister as an unsolved mystery rather than a intended target. Man, y'all niggas ain't ready. Oh God. See, this the hotep part of me, and it take a whole lot for the hotep part of me to come forward. But I don't give a fuck how many wigs, weaves, and makeup and fashions you niggas see me in. For 1 second, don't you ever think I ain't with the shits and won't do what needs to be done when the time calls for it. Cause I'll take any lashing, whooping, and scar for my tribe and those I love. Cause I can bear it. And I don't care nothing about living. Cause there ain't no such thing as dying. There's only transformation. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transform. It go holla berry or hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you do. Cause everybody gon' respect the shooter, but the one in front of the gun lives forever. And that's just how I feel now. So I'm done. This is my commentary. I hope Jussie Smollett gets off at most with the motherfucking fine and probation. If they lock this nigga up, but none of these crackers ain't got locked up for falsifying police reports, for coming up with lies, for calling motherfucking police to the scene, for black people who just trying to get the fuck in and trying to get the fuck out, who relaxing at the poolside of their own motherfucking apartment complex, who just chilling in the parking lot of their own motherfucking condo complex, then I ain't trying to hear no motherfucking justification about Jussie Smollett having to receive any motherfucking prison time. And my heart really goes out to Jussie Smollett, because while I do understand the motive, if indeed this here is the motive, what's even more tragic is that not only was this career suicide, and you gonna lose everything, my nigga, and you gonna have to go into hiding, because what motherfucking director is gonna want to work with Jussie Smollett after this bad ass publicity? What motherfucking brand is gonna work alongside Jussie Smollett with this bad ass publicity? So I hope that nigga do got millions in the motherfucking bank, which the goddamn state is probably about to take, because they probably gonna find his ass for every goddamn coin he got in there. But on top of that, if he did something out of love for his people, what's even more sad is that in losing everything, his message gets lost in translation. And the people that he tries to do this for are the same motherfuckers who like, fuck Jussie, you was fishing for dick, and or you a lying motherfucker and you stupid and who cares. And for that, pitiful. And for all y'all talking about this set us back, set who back, bitch? Because if you look at any motherfucking article on any blog where some black queer person has been murdered and killed and stabbed 1,000,001 motherfucking times, Mortal Kombat style, the comment section is riddled with a bunch of motherfuckers, black motherfuckers, saying that this motherfucker deserved to die because the price of sin is motherfucking death. And if you live by the sword, you die by the motherfucking sword. And all this dumbass shit. So people claiming that this gonna set us back, girl, we never went nowhere to be set back, okay? And just because the government has legalized some things and regulated some things on behalf of LGBT people, bitch, does not mean that socially down at the bottom of the pyramid where the real people are, that there has been any motherfucking change, because there has not. So Jussie Smollett ain't set no damn body back. And Cardi B, miss me with Jussie Smollett fucking up Black History Month, bitch, because everything that you are slaps Black history in the motherfucking face. And if Offset ass did not ruin your marriage by cheating, neither did Jussie Smollett stunt ruin Black History Month. And any motherfucker who is going to doubt the testimony of a victim of a hate crime because of what Jussie Smollett did is a motherfucker who been doubting, was going to continue to doubt the whole time. Because any mature thinking person who understands the facts and the reality about crimes committed against minority people ain't let one lying ass nigga stop them from believing in any other future real potential victim of a hate crime. Because these things happen. They just didn't happen in Smollett's case. And if you need help to refer to some instances of real life hate fucking crimes that ended in bloodshed, I will leave my first initial video when the story broke in the description box below. And there are plenty of articles and name drops that I gave. And you can go and look into the documents and into the forensics files for yourself if you need to go from skeptic to believer. So do what y'all do. If you want to donate to the show, you can cash at me at $Consciouztv or PayPal me at paypal.me/ConsciouzTV, and you can email me at consciouztv@gmail.com. This concludes my commentary. Good day, good night, God bless, peace.